If you have a picture that you want to be facing a certain direction for doing applique, as I mentioned before, then you need to do a backwards version of it. So what I have here is actually a coloring page of a puppy, and I want it facing that way on my finished design. So I'm going to flip it over, and I'm just going to outline in a dark pen and this will be what I will use to trace onto my fusing web. I'm taking some of the details out. For example, he's got some rough fur, and I'm just smoothing that out just to make it easier for doing the applique stitching. If you want to leave that in, you could, but it's a little more work going around the edges when it's got a lot of ins and outs. When I put this on my fusing web, I'm going to need more details. The other one I did was just simple basic shapes. And again, I'm tracing on the paper side of this. So I'm going to start by doing the entire puppy. You wouldn't need all of these detail lines, but I do add them in just for reference points for later. Now, the other pieces that I need to do some of the smaller detail features. For example, I'm going to do his tongue a different color, and I have some scraps from something I did earlier, so I'm just going to use those. And the eyes, I need 2 pieces because I'm going to do the eyeball a different color. And then when I do the book, I'm actually going to imagine what the finished book would be like. And we'll do the pages on the book a different color as well. 10-second fuse with a dry iron, no steam. And I'm using scraps of the polka dot to do the eyes and the nose. I'm just putting the eyes on the white and the nose on the black portions. I'm going to do all 3 of these at the same time. 10 seconds. Cut those pieces out. So when you're done, as usual, take your paper off and you're ready to fuse. When I did the triangles, I fused directly onto the fabric. I'm going to show you another trick you can do if you're doing more complicated appliques. This is called, it's an applique fusing sheet or pressing sheet. There might be other names for it, but it's a silicone-based product. It won't melt with your iron. It does get hot. You need to be careful about that. But you can use this to fuse something together and then take the whole piece and put on your fabric. With more complicated things, I normally wouldn't do it with this one, but I just wanted to show you how it works. So I'm going to put my puppy underneath, but that's the backwards one that I used for the fusing web. I actually now want the forward facing one because that's the shape that I have of my puppy. So I can put my puppy here, and I have the book piece, which is going to go there, and then the pages for the book on top of that. And then the puppy. So I'm basically layering all of my pieces here. And we have, now this is where I drew the details on my original piece because this is going to help me with placement. And again, I have to look at it backwards so I can still see the outlines there. I'm trying to do this upside down so it's easier for you to see what I'm doing. So this eye would go right there. And again, some of this is white on white, but when I do my applique, I'm going to do the applique with probably black thread, and that will outline these. This is the nose. I got the mouth in the wrong place there. You want to position it where you want it, just make sure that everything's in the right spot. So then you do the 10-second fuse with steam in your actually, I'm not going to do 10 seconds here. I'm going to do about 5, because I don't do the finished fuse will be on the fabric. So that's good enough for that. And this puppy's going to be on this red fabric. Let's give it a little press here. And you can peel the puppy off of the web, and it doesn't take, the fusing web will still be on the puppy. Take it off the Teflon sheet, I mean. And the fusing web is still on the puppy. And then you position that where you want it on your square. And then you do your 10-second fuse. So I'm at the machine to applique the puppy. I've got my applique foot on. I am going to use a medium gray thread for this because I felt like if I used black, some of the features would be lost, and the medium gray will show up better. I've got my width set on 2.5, a little bit narrower than I did the shapes with, and my length is at 0.5, same length as the previous applique. So when I'm doing something like this that has layers, like the puppy's on top of the book, I start by working on the bottom layers first. And so I'm going to start by doing the edges of the green here. And given that there's not much green showing, I'm actually going to change my length to 2.0 for this one. And again, I'm going to do that circle with the dot for locking. And then once I've got that underneath part down, I'm going to start working on the puppy. It's a judgment call. It really doesn't matter if you line up your connections carefully, what you do first and what you do last, but I sort of have, I think of how the ears are overlapping here, so I'm probably going to do the top of the mouth here, and then I'm going to do these under parts here, and then I'm going to do the tongue, and then I'll do the top of the mouth. Then I'll do the ears, and then I'm actually going to do the body. Finished puppy. Not sure I love the big circle right in the middle of his face. I might position that differently another time, but it is what it is. And I decided to do a straight stitch along the edges of the book here.